Hello, this is some simple security. We're going to be doing a little bit of an easier video this week. We're going to be talking about browsers and the specific browsers that will respect your privacy and not keep your data or sell your data, or at least minimize the amount of data that you expose to the world at large. I'm Mist.
And I'm Tara.
So, what we want to talk about is the information that browsers can take from you or use from you, or the data that you, by just using a browser, you have to give them, which is what you're looking at, kind of your location, things like that, that are very useful for advertisers or adversaries, be they hackers, governments, scammers, anything like that.
Yes,
So
and we
the
have
browser,
a web page up about this. It should be in the description. But
yeah, so wired.com.
data that is sent to advertisers, data is sent to Google for advertising and marketing, used for analytics, product personalization. So like this one is very something to keep in mind about. It has location, contact info, physical and email address, photos or videos, search history, browsing history, user identities, device ID, usage data, and advertising data, which doesn't sound like as much as it actually is.
Right, because most of the browsers that you use are going to be pre-installed. It's kind of, if you have Windows, you're probably using Edge. If you have Macintosh, you're probably using Safari. These default browsers are default for a reason, and there's business reasons that they're on your device, and that is to collect data about you so that people can market to you. That marketing data is important for the advertisers, obviously, so that they can micro-target advertising to you. However, the fact that they have that data is also a revenue stream for other things. They can sell that information to data brokers. They can sell that information to governments, and governments do buy this information. There's some sketchy governments that will do that and target people that may be journalists or protesters, and they're doing that in other countries. That does not stop them from doing that here. So the fact that that data set is there is kind of a problem.
And we
So I
actually
would,
have weaker data privacy laws in the United States than they do in a lot of other countries.
yeah, the European Union has the GDPR, which is not perfect, but it is way better than we have in the United States. So if you can use a browser that by default doesn't collect this information, it removes a large attack vector from governments, hackers, scammers, all of that. Because, just like anyone, these advertising companies can be hacked and their information can get stolen and then sold on the dark web for malicious actors. Even if you think your government is great, other people can get this information. So that just closing off that information flow is going to be very useful.
Yes. We have a lot of
So,
data that we just kind of throw out into the internet, and you probably don't even know it, but there could even be data about where you live and what you buy. They know so much more about you than you think that they know.
yeah, and advertisers really do want to know your political affiliation because that will actually be a large indicator of some of the things that you want to buy. So even if it's benign, in quotes, they're still going to try and kind of pigeonhole you into, do you vote for this way? Do you vote that way? Are you likely to go to a protest? They might try to sell you masks or anything that you might need at a protest. Like
Yeah.
they're apolitical that way. But once they have that information, they can sell that to a government, or the government can compel them to give that information to them.
They more want to
So,
know what you're going to buy.
right. So this is a good Wired article. It's super quick and concise. You don't really have to do a whole lot of reading, and you don't have to have a lot of technical background to kind of get what they're saying. First and foremost, changing your browser is going to be a little bit of a hassle because you're used to your browser that you're using. You have your bookmarks, you have the things that you've saved, you have your profiles. There are tools to make that easier.
Yes.
First, suggest doing Firefox if you're a little nervous about going. into a browser that you've never heard of before. Firefox is by Mozilla. They're a pretty good company. They've made a few questionable decisions recently, but I really wouldn't worry about that. If you're going to make a change and you want something that you've heard of before, Firefox has a pedigree that is pretty awesome. They have a lot of privacy inbuilt in their browser as is.
And what I can say about Firefox is they have had a little bit of bad press about their new terms of service. It's more they had to word it like that for the European Union. It looks very scary, but it's just another way that they have to make money in order to be able to keep Firefox free.
Yeah. So if you hear this and we suggest, hey, do Firefox, and you Google it and you see a lot of posts saying, no, Firefox is sold out, Firefox is over. There's like some hyperbolic stuff that people are saying about it. It's very much overblown. The code is still the code. The code is open source, and a lot of other people have taken the Firefox code and they've made their own browsers from that code that is even more hardened. So if you want to be a little bit more adventurous, there is what's called Waterfox.
I have a quick
And that,
note to add. Open
yeah, go ahead.
source basically means that they make the code available to the public. You could download the code, your neighbor could download the code, your boss could download the code, anyone can download the code and make the app themselves. That's basically what open source means.
Right. And also, another factor of that is that security professionals and cryptography people can look at that code and verify that it's doing what they claim it's doing. And it is. No one has come up with any problems with the Firefox code. So the people that are writing that code are doing diligent, honest, and pretty great work. So
I would recommend open source anytime that you could get away with it.
yes, generally better. We can we can have a whole
Oh, yeah.
talk about what open source is, but generally it's better. Yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah,
not going to go deep into that conversation, but we both, Mr. and I, both prefer open source projects when it is feasible.
indeed. So one of those projects that I mentioned was Waterfox, and we have it here. So Waterfox is basically Firefox, but with all of the privacy protections turned up to 11 by default. So this is actually what I'm using right now. They are a great browser. It works just the same as any other browser. It will play YouTube. It will play, all sorts of stuff. The only thing that you might want to change in a initial setup is to let it use DRM, digital rights management, so that videos will play. But
Yeah.
that's
Otherwise, you're
not,
going to have some problems
yeah,
on videos like ours on YouTube or
indeed.
on PeerTube, wherever
Yeah.
you're watching this.
Overall, I'd say Waterfox, if you don't really want to get into the nitty-gritty of changing default settings and whatnot, Waterfox is going to be a great, really simple, just load this in, run it. You can copy your bookmarks over, and it will basically just run the same as any browser that you're using. Like it may seem like a big change to change a browser. It's going to be pretty easy,
And these
honestly.
days, browsers are very easy to switch between, and they all have their own little tool to import bookmarks from other browsers
Hmm.
that you've been using for years.
Yes. And then, we do have another one called Vivaldi, which is a completely different engine. They are good people. Again, never had any real issues reported as far as privacy compromises. They're pretty dedicated group of coders. So this is one that you can check out. We don't want to like flood you with too many different options because there are several that we're not mentioning.
Oh, yeah.
So if you pick any of these, you're just going to be better than, say, a default Chrome or Edge or Safari. If you switch your browser over, we will talk to you about how to tighten that browser up in future videos with plugins and settings and whatnot.
A good rule of thumb for browsers is if it's the default browser, it's not good enough.
Yes. The way that default browsers get put on your system is through marketing deals, and that's usually through advertising, and advertising wants to take your data. That's just, if it comes default, don't use it. It has been set up to compromise you, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And our
All
last
right.
one
So, and then another one is LibreWolf, which is very, very much dedicated to freedom and open source and not tracking. It's not available on Android, but it's a great one for desktop computers.
Not available for Android or iOS. This is a desktop or laptop only browser. But if you want to get paranoid like us, then LibreWolf would probably be your choice.
Yeah, anytime you see an open source project with Libre in front of it, those are privacy and security nerds.
Oh yeah.
Libre is that it's freedom, but it's not free as in money, it's free as in speech. So a lot of people will have, there's like Libre Office, a lot of projects that use Libre. If they're doing that, they are definitely,
The best way to illustrate it is in English, free means many things. So we go to Latin. It's
yes,
libre, not gratis. Gratis is free of charge. Libre is freedom. So Libre is for freedom, while most of the time also being free of charge.
indeed. That's pretty cool. So install this, play with it, import your settings, get comfortable with it, and then in the next couple of videos, we'll probably tell you about how to go into settings, change some of those to be optimal for your privacy and security, and then also some of the plugins that are available for all of these that will also help your browser not leak your data and information.
These plugins are all things that we have used or are currently using that we trust pretty much exclusively. So we're not going to suggest you anything we wouldn't
Hmm.
use.
You can see them in all of my screen shares. They're up here. All right. Well, cheers. Just a quick one. Like I say, I want to keep these videos relatively short so they're digestible and not overwhelming.
This has been some simple security. I am Tara.
And I am missed.
Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you want more or if you want us to cover another topic. And we will see you in the next video.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.